In the Trump effect, the White House has asked to extend the deadline for reuniting migrant families separated at the border. Since the administration began its zero-tolerance policy 3 months ago, the United States has been gripped by images of young migrant children caged in detention centers crying for their parents. The latest video to go viral is this film by the nonprofit Immigration Counseling Service. It portrays immigrant children facing an American judge alone without a lawyer, which is what many of the kids are forced to do. Watch.
Do you understand what these proceedings here in court are all about? You know what a lawyer is? No? Do you have a lawyer?
The video is moving, and more than 6 million people have now watched it online, but a lot of viewers may not realize that this is a reenactment. Those kids and that judge, they are all actors. The filmmakers used actual court transcripts to reenact real-life court experiences for immigrant children separated from their parents. Attorneys say dozens of migrant toddlers and young children have been ordered to represent themselves in court. As we mentioned, the Trump administration is now seeking an extension on a deadline to reunite immigrant children with their parents. A real judge is reviewing that request. Let's bring in Kenneth Vecchio, Republican strategist and former prosecutor, and Robin Biro, Democratic strategist. Robin, for the 6 million people who looked at this video, no doubt many of them thought it was real. Doesn't the fact that this was a reenactment, doesn't it take away from the power of this video and the argument it was trying to present?
You know, I watched that video myself. It was pretty obvious that it was a reenactment. But as you said in the piece leading up to this was based on actual court transcripts. So this is very similar to what actually happened. And they do have a translator there trying to translate to these children. There's no way that a child 5 years old or under is going to understand what's going on in these courtrooms without their parents. So yes, you know, it is a reenactment, but it's again very similar to what's actually taking place, and it's reprehensible.
Ken, you're a former judge. You probably recognized within the first few frames that this was a reenactment, but does it matter?
Well, I've also written and produced over 30 pretty sizable movies, so putting the combination of it together, I looked at it and it was obvious to me this was a reenactment. Is there anything wrong with there being a reenactment of something in history or something that's in current day? No. A couple of the movies that I made that are my bigger ones are biopic epic movies, but you got to stay true to the history. You got to stay true to the facts. And while they've stated that they've utilized transcripts from real court proceedings, be careful about that, because I know better than anybody how you can easily edit something on both sides of it, as being a former judge and being a filmmaker, that you could, you know, cherry pick little pieces. And I'm not so sure that they're staying true to what's accurate. But I will say this. I do think it's the Constitution, even though that these are immigrants, should a lot for them to have lawyers, because these are at least quasi-criminal proceedings, and to have children not have lawyers under these circumstances, that is problematic to me.
Robin, you agree with that, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was nodding my head in agreement. That well said, prosecutor.
All right, let's go to something that's a little bit more of a debate, and that is the Trump administration, Ken. It says it simply has lost track of 20% of the parents that were separated from their children. They cannot meet a federal judge-ordered deadline. This is a problem for the administration, isn't it?
Well, you know whose fault this is? It's the parents who took these kids over the border in the first place, and in many cases, not even their parents. These children are being exploited for political purposes. Let's get real here. That's what's really happening. I've said this before. I'm really concerned that nobody's talking about all the children that are separated from their parents in the United States in the criminal justice system. So this entire issue is being exploited at the behest of these ultra left-wing politicians in order to make a statement.
Robin, how about it? I mean, we wouldn't have this sort of issue with the Trump administration having to figure out how to reunite these families if these parents hadn't taken their kids with them to cross the border in the first place.
Oh, yes, but, you know, I'm no prosecutor, but correct me if I'm wrong, prosecutor, but to seek asylum, you actually have to be on United States soil in order to do so, correct?
Yeah, problem here, though, is that most of these people aren't here on true political asylum where their heads are about to be chopped off in their country. They're here to try to get a better economic life at the expense of our economy. So I do like President Trump's position of pick them up and deport them. I have an idea. I think that what we should do is give them an option. You can sit in jail cells in the United States, or you can go back across the border if you have true political asylum issues, and then we'll take some buses right at the border with sheriff's officers on them, take them to court, and then they can argue their cases.
Okay, prosecutor, answer this. How did your family come to this country?
That's
probably legally, but
that's completely ridiculous and completely irrelevant.
I want to know.
We're in 2018 right now, and in 2018 we've got a massive immigration problem. We cannot have these fluid, open borders that you would like to have because it fits your political agenda, so that they can vote for people like Barack Obama, who you're in love with.
To his point, I don't think he's in love with Barack Obama, but to his point, I mean, we are a nation of immigrants. A lot of our ancestors came to this country, whether it was legally or not, and they became citizens. They had to learn the language, but it wasn't always perfectly crystal clear for our ancestors either.
Unfortunately, in today's world, we have to close our borders and only allow people in on a merit-based circumstances. I'm all for allowing the DACAs to get a path to permanent residency, but not citizenship, because they came here by no choice of their own. After that, even children that come across the border have to get deported and sent back unless they have legitimate political asylum or another legal right to be here.
Robin, we'll give you the last word.
There's so much to this. Just DACA alone. Right now, I just learned today that the United States military is already weeding out servicemen and women that have been serving. When does this end? We talk about merit-based. I'd like to know if the prosecutor, if his family was here on merit-based system, because my family fled from ethnic cleansing in Hungary, and these people are fleeing from horrific situations in their countries.
Merit-based or non-merit-based, but this is 2018.
But you would acknowledge, Ken, we would be a very different country if we had merit-based immigration 100 years ago when a lot of our great-grandparents came over.
But things change over time, like the Constitution is fluidly interpreted.
Ken Vecchio, Robin Biro, interesting debate. Good to have you both on. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Still to come on Stateside, this